McCullough Hills parking area and trailhead at Sloan Canyon in the south part of Las Vegas. And there's a vast network of trails here. They weave in and out in a huge web. And so we're going to just explore this northern area of Sloan Canyon and just see where we end up. It's a volcanic area. Sloan Canyon is about 40,000 acres, I believe, about 4 times the size of Red Rock Park, and this McCullough Wilderness area, which is at the north end around the town of Anthem in Henderson. It's about 15,000 square acres. Yeah, 15,000 square acres. So it is about 1.5 times the size of Red Rock Park, just this northern area of Sloan Canyon. This is the most established trail area around the Anthem area, and then in the southern part of Sloan Canyon, there's some amazing petroglyphs. We will probably not get down there today. We're just exploring the northern area today. We'll just see how far we get. Let's do a 360 degree so you can see basically where we are. You can see the edge of Henderson area in Las Vegas. If you headed up the freeway from here, we're on Mission. Let's see. It's Horizon Ridge, off of Horizon Ridge Parkway, that parallels Highway 11 heading out of Las Vegas. Anyway, I don't see a lot of familiar landmarks here, but when we get to the high points, we'll look around. There should be some amazing views if the clouds permit. So here we go, trail exploring in Sloan Canyon Wilderness area. Okay, now we're starting to get a little bit of the lay of the land here. We're on the McCullough Hills Trail, and I'm going to take this main trail through the area. There's a lot of smaller trails that break off. They are numbered, and a lot of them go up to high points in the area. They're smaller trails and not necessarily ideal for mountain biking, although I've seen mountain bikers who are tackling every single trail here. A point of reference that I'm going to shoot for is, if I get lost in this trail system, I shoot for these towers, which are right above where we started, and give you a 360 degree view of where we are. And we'll get one from a higher point later, but I just wanted to get a little bit from this mile marker area. The reason I'm not talking much is that I'm not familiar with this area at all. Can't tell you what each of these mountains are. I mean, it does look like Anthem might be up in this direction up here. I see some additional towers, and I bet that would be above the Anthem area. So there you have it. McCullough Hills Trail is the main trail that we're taking through this area. Expecting those straight roads that we see in the sheep range. No, you won't find them here. And if you're expecting steady uphill followed by steady downhill on the return trip, no, you won't find that either. This is a pretty rugged little mountain bike trail. A lot of mountain bikers on here seem to be handling it very well. And there's a lot of turns, twists, and there's also a lot of uphill, downhill, and some broken up parts of the trail. We're on the McCullough Hills Trail again. And here's the 360. You can see trails up in those hills, and you can actually find various trails that are marked by number, 603 for example, and they break off of the main McCullough Hills Trail, and I'm imagining they head up for various hills. And let's see, looking back down toward Henderson, and then across, I see little trails and roads that break off and head up to these hills up ahead. So pretty much, this is kind of a cool place. If you can see a hill, there's probably a way to get to the top of it on some kind of a trail. So yeah, this area bears a lot of return trips to really get the whole trail system down. In the meantime though, for this time, the first trip in this area, I'm going to stick with McCullough Hills Trail, the main trail, and just note trails that break off, and we'll see where this trail leads. But you can see very barren, very much untouched, which is pretty cool, because this gives you a real experience of southwestern Mojave Desert, but you're not too far from a population area. It's just a matter of knowing the trail system, or sticking on the main trail as I'm doing, so that you don't get lost in this web of trails. But very wide open, lots of sun. If you like the Southwest, you like being baked in the sun, this is the second Saturday in December of 2020, and so it's cooler. I wouldn't do this in June through September probably. You'd expect to really bake. So you can see there's a high point up ahead, and if you look closely on this hill, you can see trails that go up to that high point. And looking back this way, you can see the radio towers, communication towers above the McCullough Hills Trailhead. So that serves as a good point of reference, although this trail is very well marked. So we're not expecting to get lost in the web of trails today, at least. You can always find this trail, and we'll get familiar with where it leads. Okay, so yeah, there's a mountain biker down in this area. So yeah, they're all over the place. This is just, if you're in a rugged mood and you just want to ride a lot of bumpy, wild mountain bike trails, looks like this is a great area for you. Okay, onward. Here's the mile 2 marker. When I'm running, I know I could run faster than this. But we continue on up McCullough Hills Trail. Just give you a 360. I think I'll do that every marker. And we are heading toward the Anthem Hills area. I think it's about 8 miles up to the Anthem Hills area. So there you have it, mile 2 and onward. Here's a high point on the McCullough Hills Trail, looking back down toward Henderson. And now we can see some mountains in the distance there. We don't know what they are, but I'm guessing maybe that Lake Mead is between the close ridge and the further ridge in the distance. And it looks like we are going to descend through a little canyon area. We'll see. Well, this just looked like a good spot, high point to get some perspective. You can see the trail below, McCullough Hills Trail. Okay, let's round the corner, head through this next canyon area. Looks like this could be the last look back down the canyon toward our starting point on McCullough Hills Trail from the McCullough Hills Trailhead. And now you get a look around, see where we are. Some little rock of significance here. Somebody's turned it into a shrine in the desert. But you can see now we're heading down, and it almost looks to me, this is starting to look familiar. It's looking like maybe what we're looking at is Mount Charleston. And to the right of, there's Mount Charleston, the small mountain over there. It's not small, but it's further distant. And then ahead is Mummy Mountain, I think. No promises. So up to this point, we have been traveling pretty steadily uphill, but a lot of ridges and little hills and valleys in between, but predominantly uphill. So now we turn the corner and we're heading toward what looks a lot more familiar. Okay, onward down the McCullough Hills Trail. Here we go. Continuing up the McCullough Hills Trail, and it looks like it's going to circle around to this point and then maybe head down. I do not know. So, to give you an idea where we just came from, here you can see the McCullough Hills Trail stretched out in the distance. So it has been a fairly steady uphill. There have been sections of downhill, but from McCullough Hills Trailhead so far toward Anthem, it's pretty much uphill. But I'm suspecting that once we head around this corner up here, we may have some downhill for the last 3 miles. I don't know. We'll find out. Here we go. I take it we're at a high point. 3,120 feet. So let's look and see where we are on this McCullough Hills Trail. Continuing on, definitely looks like we're heading downhill, and that would be toward the Anthem area. Looking in the distance, there's a lot of haze, but looks like we're, straight ahead in the far distance. I can now make out Mount Wilson. So that's Red Rock Park area. More little trails that break off and head to high points. And then, as we look back over the area that we just ascended, a lot of switchbacks here. And you can see the McCullough Hills Trail. So yes, it has been a pretty steady uphill to this point. And we're nearing the 5-mile point in the trail. And I know that Anthem Hills is at the 8-mile point, so 3 more miles to go to hit Anthem Hills, which is off down in this direction. So yeah, definitely downhill now. Let's continue on. Definitely at a high point. And we're looking straight across the Las Vegas Valley at the Rainbow Mountains. I can see Mount Wilson, Rainbow Mountain, and a number of other mountains on that in the Rainbow Mountain Wilderness. Let's zoom in a little bit. There you go. And as you can see, this is definitely the high point from which we begin a pretty dramatic downhill to the Anthem Hills area, which means we're going to turn around and have all that as an uphill. So it looks like this McCullough Hills Trail between McCullough Hills Trailhead and Anthem is an uphill until it reaches basically this point. A little bit before this point, we begin heading downhill. And so if you're going to make this route, you're going to be going uphill on the way, hit another uphill when you're tired of uphills on the way back. So should be an interesting rest of this trip. Okay, here we go. A number of shelters here along the way, and looks like you get a little bit of protection from the summer sun if you're out here in the summer or on a hot day. But one other thing I wanted to point out is I mentioned that this was a volcanic area, and you can really see it in the rocks in this area where there's a lot of lava stone. Zoom in a little on this. So you can see, definitely volcanic in nature. Pretty rugged area. I'd say what we're looking at right here is probably the most plants that I've seen on this trail. Oh, and here's a shot of, you can see the stratosphere on the Las Vegas Strip. See that white tower in the distance there. And then to the left of it, you can see part of the Las Vegas Strip. So, gives you an idea where we are from this perspective. We're normally looking at the area from the opposite side of the Las Vegas Valley in the Mount Charleston Wilderness and looking down. So, very interesting change in perspective. Okay, we're looking down at the Anthem area, and now here's the Las Vegas Strip. So the entire Las Vegas Valley is opening up before us. And across from the Las Vegas Valley would be the Rainbow Mountains. If it were more clear, you'd be able to see Mount Wilson in the distance. It's very faint with today's visibility. And I bet you'd even be able to see Turtlehead Peak. But that's the Red Rock Park area. And then moving on in this direction, I believe that's Potosi Mountain in the distance. More of the Las Vegas Valley, the Anthem area. Let's just circle around. So you see pretty rugged hills. Some real terrace action here on the hills. Try to keep that from landsliding down into the Anthem area probably. And then as we look around more at the ground around us, you can see the volcanic stones. A lot of evidence of ancient volcanic action in this area. Okay, let's head down toward Anthem. I think we've got a mile or so to go, and then we'll turn around and head back up this hill and back to the McCullough Hills Trailhead. Well, I think we're pretty safe to say we've made Anthem. And near the end of the McCullough Hills Trail, there's a breakoff trail called Anthem East. Definitely take the Anthem East Trail, and that's asphalt. There's a pretty rugged final stretch of the McCullough Trail. So take Anthem East up to the McCullough Trail, and it'll connect up there and then continue on the McCullough Trail back to the McCullough Trailhead. So that's how my return trip's gonna go. And yeah, lots of uphill. It's gonna take a while, but here we are, Anthem. Except for the wind, this vantage point above Anthem looks like a good place to take a rest. You can see the volcanic rock all around. I've been down into Anthem. Now we've turned around and we're heading back up the McCullough Hills Trail. Here's a view of where we are. You can see a lot of volcanic rock here. There we're looking back up the McCullough Hills Trail. So it's going to be a wild ride on the way back. Lots of rocks to navigate. Definitely have to keep your eyes on the trail. Keep your hands on the wheel. Or the handlebars. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a rest and then on up back to the McCullough Hills Trailhead. By the way, there's a good shot of the Las Vegas Strip. Okay, here we are, still at the high point above Anthem. I've been thinking, I wonder if I can make a complete circuit by taking Horizon Ridge Road. If it doesn't work, then wow, I'm going to be in the middle of nowhere. But I'm going back down into Anthem. Then I'm going to hit Horizon Ridge Road, and I'm going to see if I can circle around this whole area. I'm just a little tired of being on the rocky trails. I want to feel what it's like to be on asphalt for a while. And I think I can make better time on the way back, provided there's a connector. So, I know I should look at a map, but I'm going to just figure it out as we go. So, here we go.